This person is asking a question, and she is asking us to help on a certain experience that she has had of matrimony. And she says that this matrimony didn't end well. And when a long period of matrimony, such as yours that lasted for 18 years, you breaking up that matrimony, now your life is trying to take you to looking for God, of looking for a companion and for the solutions of your life, not in another person, but yes, in something higher than yourself. And so try it out. Try to switch your interest and be interested in something higher than your experience as a wedded person, and see if now you can turn your attention to searching something higher and not for another person. And here, they're asking for information about certain prophecies that are attributed to Chico Xavier. And according to what this person says, Chico Xavier said about the transformation of the earth and of humanity that it would happen, and that something very important would happen in the year 2019. And this person wants to know if the prophecies are true and how she should position herself before this spiritual leader that she has always followed. Well, independently on the truth or not of this prophecy, we have to recognize that the prophecies also come to try to help us change the possible events. So a prophecy can announce an event, and if humanity is able to change its way of being, if we are able to change our consciousness, then perhaps that event does not have to take place in the way that it was foreseen. And so the prophecy is useful to warn us of something that could happen, and depending on our reaction, depending on our behavior, depending on what we decide to do about it, then this prophecy may change. And here another person has read in one of the daily thoughts that we publish that the law of prayer develops us a lot. And this person is asking if to pray is a law, because the information that this information of this daily thought says the law of prayer. And why does it call it a law? Well, to pray is an act of all those who know that they have to unite themselves with the superior levels of consciousness. And so in the sense of we having to search for these superior levels in order to attain a true development of ourselves. And so it's on this sense that they say that the thought of the day said that to pray is a law, because without praying it's almost impossible for you to elevate yourself from one level of consciousness to another. And everyone, as they mature, everyone begins to use prayer, even the hierarchies. The hierarchy doesn't pray like us, but the attitude of the hierarchies before the things that are even superior to them is an attitude that corresponds to our level of prayer. And so it's on this sense that the thought of the day said that to pray is a law, because I think that there isn't a being who does not use the instrument of prayer in order to try to reach On Christ's apparition on the day March the 20th, he said, "Some people will reach the top of the mountain of the purpose, and other people shall become bridges of light to the self-convoked ones." And this person is asking, what does it mean for us to transform ourselves into bridges of light? What does a bridge of light do? Well, what we call a bridge of light is that being who decides to help the others to follow the path. And so he is a bridge for the people to reach another level. And so bridge of light is a symbolical name. If you, for example, begin to work for the sake of your neighbors, for the sake of all humanity, if you begin to help people to reach their own spiritual goals, then you will be considered as a bridge of light in a certain spiritual consciousness. And this person says that she has to take a decision, to make a decision, and whether she should donate some of her organs, because she has been invited to do it. And this person is asking how this is considered. Well, this question of donating your own organs is a very particular question. We cannot give the same answer to everyone. It depends on the case. Depending on what your soul or what your inner self is decided to do. And so, of course, to donate one of your organs is a good donation, but it's about seeing if it's your case. No one could tell you whether you should do it or not. Where you must seek this answer is not even your own reflections, but you have to receive an inner sign. Because when we donate one of our organs, the person who receives the organ receives a part of our physical karma, because our physical body has a karma, and this karma belongs to each one of its organs. So when you donate one of them, you transfer to another people a part of your physical karma. And so the soul of the other person or the spirit of the other person must be willing to receive such a karma by this donation. So this donation would be positive. And so this is a matter that we cannot answer like that, because it's necessary for your soul to give you an impression about the subject. And another person has dreamed with an image, which is the following. She saw all the continents of the planet Earth. She said the world map filled with images of little heads of people who are dead. And this has made a very strong impression on her and led her to changing certain things in her life, because she found this dream very symbolical and truthful. Well, this was shown to you symbolically, in a symbolical way, and it showed to you a reality, because there are many beings who were considered dead to the spiritual world. So these series of heads that you said covering the world map, this could either be representing something physical or something concrete through a possible movement of the planet that could take place, or it could maybe be trying to tell you that the world is filled with people who are dead to the spiritual life. But it was good for you to have received such a strong impression, because this means that you will thus be influenced by this image, and you will be brave enough not to become one of these beings who are living that situation. And the same question is asking if, during the marathon of the Divine Mercy, during Christ's apparition, she's asking what did he mean by the phrase that we must bear testimony of his return and do it in silence through the heart. This person is asking, but shouldn't we also spread his words and diffuse his words, be testimonials of his return? Well, you can do it if it's your destiny to be teaching the other people. But I think that we can also bear testimony of Christ's return when you become a true apostle of his instruction. And so, if you live a life of charity, if you live a life of service, then you are an apostle of his instruction. And by your example, by the reference that you give to the other people after having received the instructions of the Christ, then you have become an apostle. And the apparitions that he has been making, the apparitions have been bringing many questions also, because people find themselves before a superphysical reality and occult reality, and they feel very stimulated to change basic aspects of their lives. And this other person is asking for some clarifications about Mary's message for the 25th of March. Well, what Mary was saying on March the 25th was that the forces of evil, or the evolutionary forces, are trying to involve all of us, and that they are very clever in a certain way. But Mary was saying in that apparition that the forces of evil are, yes, very clever and capable of doing many things, but they still do not know anything about love. And so, if you are in a situation or in a state of love, if you're loving the evolution, loving the Christ, loving God, if you are in a situation of love, practicing love, then the forces of evil do not know how to deal with you, because they don't know how to deal with love. And so it would be necessary for you to have a lot of love, for you to manifest a lot of love, because then the forces of evil would not know how to deal with you. They would not know how to tempt you. This is what Mary was trying to say in that message. And also, the forces of evil, according to Mary in the same transmission, they feed themselves from the pain and the suffering of the people that they are able to take out of the path. They are fed by our pain, and they are fed by the result that happens in us after we have decided to follow them out of the path. And Mary says that we are very slow because we donate ourselves, or we surrender ourselves to pleasure, and we try to fulfill our appetites. And so the search for pleasure and the search for satisfying our own instincts and appetites, this will lead us to a situation of inertia. And when we live this state of inertia, we become very attractive to the forces of evil. This situation of inertia allows the forces of evil to act over us in a free way. And Mary also says that in order for us to resolve this situation and become immunized from the attack of the evolutionary forces, and also to all the temptations, it would be necessary for us to feel the need of union, of unity, spiritual and inner union with the beings. And it's the practice of prayer that leads us to learning all these things. No one could teach us how to feel united to the others. No one could teach us not to feel separated. We have to learn these things in some way. And she indicates the practice of prayer as the best school for us to learn all the attitudes and the qualities that the forces of evil are unable to deal with. But the basic thing is the union. The basic thing is for us not to want to be separated from everything that is true, but yes, to be wanting to be united. But this subject is something that we intend to develop in a future lecture. We have lectures every Wednesday and Saturdays, and in one of them we're going to talk more about this message of Mary that is really important. But the basic thing is that we should be the opposite of that which the forces of evil know how to deal with. And so if we have a lot of love and a great sense of unity, then the forces do not know how to touch us. The thing is that our way of loving and our way of accomplishing this union is very not complete. We have to reach this point of feeling united to the life in general, and this joined with the practice of prayer, summing up with the practice of prayer, will really turn us into invulnerable beings to the attack of the involutionary forces. And another person says, "My husband doesn't believe in God, and my daughter is going up the same path. Please help me." Well, you should try to live your union with your superior self. You should try to live your union with God. Search for this and have faith that this is going to happen. And then you will be a witness or testimony that this is true. And perhaps your husband could change. Your husband could change, and your daughter too. But you have to be the witness that it's true. You have to be the testimony that you are convicted of this and that you are really evolving and becoming better, that you are transforming yourself, because your transformation is what will indicate to them that you are correct, that you are really sure of what you're saying. And then there will be a possibility for you to help them. This person was reading the book called The Mystical City of God, which is a very important work attributed to Mary of Agreda, a writer of a few centuries ago. And she's reading Mary of Agreda, and in one of the passages of the book, she didn't understand well what the Virgin Mary was saying. We have to be led to loving, and then we will be able to understand. Well, this is expressing a law, and it's the following. On earth, we have to first understand things, and afterwards we will be able to love them. This is what happens on earth, down here. But on the superior levels, to which Mary of Agreda was trying to lead us, the law is the opposite. First, we have to love that which we're looking for, that which we're seeking. And after we begin to love it, then we begin to understand. In a book such as The Mystical City of God, you have to first love it, first discover in this book the love that it radiates, and then after this love is that you will be able to understand. Because if you want to understand the mystical city of God just in an intellectual way, there are things that you're not going to understand, because they're occult things that are put in words, many of them. And all the spiritual things, first we have to love them, even if we don't understand them. And after we have loved it, after we have loved them, we'll be able to understand up to the point that we're able to understand. The spiritual laws do not work as the human laws. In the human law, we have to agree with something, understand something, and then we are going to love it. But the spiritual path is the exact opposite. First we have to love it, and then you understand it. And all of us have an essence that is made of love. And so it's not something that you're going to look for outside of you. You should have faith that this exists. And this book, The Mystical City of God, is a book that is love from the beginning to the end. And so you are reading an act of love. The whole book is an act of love. The way it treats us, the things that it teaches, how the book channels the superior things. And so you, without realizing it, you begin to love what you are getting in contact with. And if you reach the end of the book, you will realize that in the end you have understood, but not by your intellect, not by your mind. Here we have another question. This person says that she still has a lot of difficulty in understanding how we, individual beings, this person doesn't understand how individuals like us cannot feel separated. How is it possible for us not to feel separated if we're individuals? Well, the knowledge of your own self comes not by the mind, but it comes after you acknowledge that your mind is not enough, and that your mind cannot lead you to that place inside of you that you're looking for. And when this knowledge, this acknowledgement takes you to understanding that your mind is not enough, when you recognize that your mind cannot resolve this matter, and that it's when that things begin to be resolved in another way. We have to begin to understand this by faith and by the faithful search. You see, on the daily thought for the 18th of this month, we had peace is an inner state. It's a result of the perfect attunement with the spiritual reality. And so this peace that you're looking for, this peace is an interior state, an inner state that you cannot attain or achieve by your mind, but only by faith and by renouncing to everything to which you are attached. And so by the detachment and your faith, you will gradually approach this state. But no one could explain to you how to get there. It's only the faith and the renounce and the detachment to everything that ties you and imprisons you. You should just grab this law. I didn't create this. This is a law. You will only attain a superior state of consciousness or reach your own inner world by renouncing to everything that ties you down. And you're going to have this experience after you decided to do it. Inside your own possibilities, and especially inside your decision of doing something different from that which you're living now. And someone here would like to know more about the sun, especially about the sun at the midday, because this person is feeling a difference in the action of the sun nowadays. And this person would like to understand something about this question. Well, we all know that the sun is going through, or it's receiving a different impulse. The sun is going through a cycle of greater intensity of radiation, and of course to us it's requested to recognize this in a spiritual way, and also do not expose ourselves too much to the sun during those moments, because the sun is really emitting rays that it didn't emit before, and they would make a difference on us. And so if you really want not to expose yourself too much to the sun, you should try not to get too much sun after 9 in the morning. Receive the light of the sun only before 9 in the morning. After 9 a.m., we shouldn't expose ourselves to the sun. We go to the places we have to go, of course, in the adequate rhythm, but without exposing ourselves too much, because the things are getting intense, and our bodies still have to get used to this new radiation of the sun. And this person is also asking if astronomy could help us in something, because there are many scientific books about astronomy. Well, what's in the plan of evolution? That which is proposed to us in this moment is that the science, religion, and philosophy should work together. And so when you have a science that says one thing, philosophy saying another, and religion that says a third thing, then you should back up from the subject. Because you have to understand that these three things are the same science, but in this world everything is divided. And in this world these three things do not work together, but you should know that the plan of evolution for all of us is to have science, philosophy, and religion as an only thing. And they shouldn't work against each other. Men work against each other, but not philosophy, nor religion, nor science. Because science exists, religion exists, and philosophy exists. But when men come and work with them, they begin to appear as three different things. But religion and science are exactly the same thing. And so you should just open yourself up with a lot of neutrality and study the things that science has been publishing about the sun and also astronomy, because these are things that in a new humanity will be the most important subjects of education: science, religion, and philosophy. This is the synthesis of the new humanity's education. Do not try to follow these three sectors separated, because you're only going to find conflicts on them, that conflicts that were created by the men who work with each one of these three fields. And here someone says that she begins to ask herself some questions and she gets a little confused. And that she has been noticing that there isn't any time anymore for her to think too much. And that ever since prayer and service entered into her life, she has begun to trust a lot on this, that she feels that prayer and service to her are something very important. And so you should just wait and keep on serving and wait for this change to manifest itself in you, and do not stay in this delicate moment in which you have achieved a good inner situation by praying and serving. You should just wait a little bit, because as a result of your prayer and your service will come the understanding of what you need to know. This person is asking a question about the following book that says, "The apostle of the new time is understood everywhere because he speaks the language of the one who seeks him." This person found this information. The apostle of the new time, the one who is here to serve the new cycle of the world, is understood everywhere because he speaks the language of those who search for him. The apostle is able to speak another language, is able to speak that which the other person needs to listen. And in the same book, in another page, she read, "The apostle that serves me will suffer all kinds of injuries, treason, and will suffer persecution during the time of his work." Well, yes, because he's going to speak a language that everyone's going to understand. It's the apostle. He's going to speak a language that everyone understands. But those who do not agree to what he is saying is going to do all these things that are described. And so the book is talking about those who are working against because they do not agree, not because they understand. There are people who go against us because they don't understand, but the book is talking about those who do understand but are still going against us. And this book is very occult. This book, if you're able to notice its inner side, you're going to be very much instructed by it. But the paradoxes that exist only for us. The law is an only law, and the energy is an only energy. The law is an only one, and it's the foundation of everything. We are the ones who live a paradox, because to our mind is still very deductive and demanding. Our mind is still very critical, and all these things are the opposite of you diving into yourself and finding peace. So, Some people are going to persecute the apostles because they don't understand, but there are people who are going to persecute him exactly because they do understand what the apostle is trying to do. And so these things we should stop personalizing them. When we talk about the apostle, we are talking about a position or a way of being and not about a person in a specific way. And so we should begin not to be so personal, because each human person, each human being that we call a person is the result of many forces and energies that meet inside of him, and sometimes not in a very ordered way. And we have to transcend all of our personal visions and begin to deal with energies and forces, because then we'll be more in peace with everyone. Because as you know, the beings and the people realize with what you're dealing when you deal with them. You may be dealing with a force that's inside the other person, and this person will understand you in another way than if you were just dealing, rather than if you were just dealing with him as a person. We should just become more neutral and look for understanding that which the person is expressing and try to deal with that, because what someone is expressing could change from a moment to the other. And this other person says that on a daily basis she has been accompanying the lectures in Figueira, and about the superior matrimony, which is a lecture by Trigueirinho that was transcribed into a book. This person says that when she read this lecture, she became willing to get married, and that when she left home after having acknowledged this fact that she wanted to get married, she had a car accident on which her car got very much damaged, and that she then understood that this idea of superior matrimony was too much present in her mind, in that this car accident happened because as she was a very common and simple person, she shouldn't be thinking about these superior ideas. Well, I don't know if you, in the book of the matrimony, I don't know if you got to the point of saying that Mary is looking for the simple. If you're a simple person, if you think that you cannot understand the meaning of a superior matrimony, if you consider yourself a simple person, then this is what Mary is looking for. And so continue, go on, because perhaps you're going to realize that simplicity is the real thing. This person says that her life began to change because a tumor appeared, and it has impressed her a lot. This fact impressed her a lot. Well, if the tumor is not a bad tumor, then it means that it's a chance of you transforming an aspect. If you received a tumor that is not lethal, then it means that you're going to treat it, and that during the moments that you're treating it, you have the chances of being cured and also of transforming yourself through this tumor. This person says, how can I deal with the fear that I feel for this disease? Because I'm scared of it. Well, you should deal with the fear for the illness by taking care of your illness with a lot of patience and confirming yourself in the spiritual side. Do everything that is indicated to those who are taking care of you. Do everything patiently, reaffirming your own spiritual goal in life, because In a certain moment, the disease will not have anything to do with you anymore. If you were able to reaffirm your own spiritual goal, then suddenly the disease doesn't have anything to do with you anymore, because it has already taken care of the things that it came to transform, which was transforming your own points of view, for example. And the person also asks, but how can I keep my faith? How can I keep my faith up? Well, I'm going to answer you in a way that it seems that it's not a good answer. But after you have dealt with the subject in the way that I've just indicated, you will keep your faith by helping the others. While you do everything that you have to do with your tumor, you should try to help the others. Do not be absorbed by your own personal question. Deal with the tumor as if you were dealing with another subject that wasn't a disease, and go and take care of people who really need you. And then you will keep your faith. Then you will see in the eyes of those that you're going to help, you will see in the other people's eyes the messages of the souls of the other people sent to you. And then you're going to keep your faith. You will realize that the people that you went to help are not what you think of them. They are not physical people. One day you're going to look into their eyes, into the eyes of the people you help, and from the eyes of those people will come something that is going to confirm your faith. It seems that this answer doesn't have to do with your tumor, but this is how life works. Everything is united. You go and help those who need while you take care of your tumor with a lot of patience, and the faith you're going to receive it from the eyes of the people that you're going to help. But do not do this just for your own sake. Do not go and accomplish such an important work that is going to make you busy and occupy your consciousness a lot, not for your own sake, just because of a selfish purpose, because you want to heal your own tumor and be happy. No, you're not going to do it because you want to be happy. You're going to assume this service so that you, by being healed, you might become a better person and work for the plan of evolution in a better way. We take care of ourselves not for our own sake. We take care of ourselves in order to be better people and then serve better. This is why we take care of ourselves. We take care of ourselves in order to have better conditions to serve better. Serve the plan of evolution better. And it's then that you're never tired, because if you take care of yourself only for your own sake, because you want to feel better, on a certain moment you will be tired. This person has dreamt many times already This person has dreamt many times about her own teeth. And she says, I know that all the dreams about teeth have to do with the bad use of our words, of our voice. And she says that she also dreams not only with her teeth, but she also dreams sometimes that she is covered, with a fish, with the skin of a fish. And she doesn't know why she has been having these dreams. She understands her dreaming about teeth, but she doesn't understand the dream about the fish skin. Well, this dream probably is referring to an ancient aspect of yourself. You have now begun to purify yourself in a sense or in a certain aspect that deals with a very ancient aspect of yourself. This fish skin is representing your animal aspects and also our depths, where they come from. Because in order for a monad to create a soul, this soul can begin an experience in the animal kingdom. When the soul begins to incarnate in the human kingdom, it brings with itself the experience that it had on the animal kingdom. Your spirit didn't begin on the animal kingdom, it began on the mineral kingdom. Then it went to the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, and now it's incarnated on the human kingdom. And so you are dealing with very ancient aspects and ancient things that in your dreams could come in symbols. You covered with the fish with a fish skin. And here you ask me that you would like to help this process and that you would like to cooperate for your own purification. And how you could do it? Well, first of all, you have to accept this way of purifying yourself. No, I didn't want to do it this way. I would like to do it another way. Well, you might have found it weird that for having received such a dream. Well, you have to accept your purification in the way that it has come to you, and do not complain, but reaffirm your intention of evolving. You have to accept your purification, do not complain, do not moan, and reaffirm your intention of evolving. And here someone is asking us to say something about the Our Father prayer, about the meaning of this prayer. Well, let's talk about this subject in a very quick way. We have dealt with it for many times already, but as there are many people who are praying this prayer, as this is a universal and planetary prayer, we're going to talk about it again. When we say, Our Father, who art in heaven, this Father, this Our Father is referring to the only consciousness. There isn't a Father. It's talking about the only consciousness. It's talking about the origin of everything, the origin of the creation. That is the Father. And so this origin of the creation, this only consciousness that you are calling God, our Father, that you're calling Father, our Father, in your own way of seeing things, you are referring to the only consciousness, and you're turning your attention to the source of the whole creation. In other words, the true Father, who art in heaven. Heaven means superior level of consciousness. In this level on which Our Father was given to us by Jesus, in this level, heaven is referring to the seventh dimension. We are living in the third. And so, as you see, the seventh dimension is much above us, much above this dimension. Hallowed be thy name. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. This phrase means that you consider this sacred. You considering even as a mantra the word Father. It's a sacred word, and so hallowed be thy name. Thy name, because there are moments in which certain prayers give names to the Father. For example, there are prayers in which we say Adonai. Adonai is a name that we give to the Father. Other prayers say Emmanuel. Other prayers say Abba, which is another name that we give to the Father, and they refer to different levels on which the Father may come to you, levels through which you may get to the Father. And so you say, hallowed be thy name. When you say that, hallowed be thy name, you in an occult way is turning yourself to one of the levels of the Creator. Thy kingdom come. May your vibration, your life, your creative energy come to us. May they come to us. May that place where you exist, Father, come to us. Thy kingdom come. The kingdom is not that which we think on earth. Here on earth, the kingdom is someone who rules and exploits the others. But kingdom in a spiritual sense is that energy, that state of consciousness that exists in order to serve, that exists to sanctify everything. A kingdom is a state of consciousness in which everything is perfect in the sense of the creation. Thy kingdom come, that which you are. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Why? Thy will be done. Well, this phrase refers to the archetype, the model, the will of the Father, not because He wants it. His will means the archetype, means that which is the model, that which is the intention of the plan of evolution or the intention of the creation. His will, that we say is, His will is the archetype that exists and that we should correspond to. And so it's necessary for us to, in a symbolical way, fulfill the laws and do His will so that we may correspond to the archetype that exists. Give us this day our daily bread. Well, here, the daily bread means, that there is a possibility for us to leave this quest for subsistence. Give us this day our daily bread. It means, I would like to live without looking for a living, without having to fight for a living, without having to follow this terrestrial law, because on the terrestrial law, you have to work hard in order to survive. Give us this day our daily bread means you existing in a natural way, you existing exactly as it's predicted by the plan of evolution. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Well, yes, the law of this planet, which is inside the karmic laws of the universe, this means that you're going to receive the return of the actions that you do. And so, forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, means that you are asking for something that you are also giving to the others. And so you have to forgive so that afterwards your own trespasses might be forgiven. It's the law of the karmic return. You have to forgive in order to be forgiven. and then you cancel the possibility of the karma. Let us not fall into temptation, because as you know that beginning in the moment that we take the spiritual path seriously, from that moment on, from the moment that we begin to live in order to evolve, from that moment on, we are much more tempted than we used to be before we had decided to enter the path. Those who haven't decided to live in the path and still live the common life, they don't have big temptations. They don't have big temptations or big works of the involutionary forces over them. The great temptations become exactly when you have truly decided to enter the path. And this is why the Our Father prayer says, let us not fall into temptation, because the temptations become stronger and more subtle. And so you ask for this archetype to help you not to fall into temptation, because they are temptations that you've never had before and that you're not used to dealing with. And it ends with, but deliver us from evil. Deliver us from evil is a request that all those who are conscious of all the dangers that they're living say this prayer, deliver us from evil. Everyone who is conscious knows that they have to be delivered from evil, because as you have done all this work of searching for this union with the archetype, done all this work of looking for the union with the Father, you also ask to be delivered from evil, liberated from evil. This is a request that all those who are conscious make, because they know they're going to be persecuted by the involutionary forces, the forces of evil. They will be persecuted in a very special way if they reach this point. Well, it's very good for us to be aware of the prayer that we are pronouncing. It would be good for us to pronounce these prayers that have a formal aspect, because they're all mantric. Each one of the prayers, this one and the others, the Hail Mary, for example, and all the others that are offered to us, all of them, we have to be conscious of what we are doing when we pronounce them. And so your question was very good, and one day we may return to this subject with more detail. But the prayers are not made for us to pray mechanically, because each prayer that we pronounce, you should know what it is that you're saying. You should know why you're doing that, and you have to be conscious of the effect that it may have upon you, because each formal prayer has a very deep effect. But this effect happens in the proportion that you are conscious of what you are saying, and in the proportion that you reaffirm that which is your own will of entering the path. And so the Our Father prayer is a very good prayer for us in this moment, and this is the reason why we have been suggesting for people to use it. And as you think about this subject and as you practice this prayer, you are going to notice how many impressions begin to emerge from inside of you if you truly live according to each one of the phrases of this prayer and of all the other prayers that have come from the hierarchy and that are available for us. Because all of those prayers have a great quality, and they are big opportunities for us to begin to live those states of consciousness. If we live the things that the prayers say, you go through a very deep transformation. Well, and now I thank you for your attention, and on the next month, if there aren't any changes in schedule, probably on the 18th of May, we're going to have another lecture such as this one, and you may send your questions and your doubts, because the ones that we have to answer with more attention, because they're too personal, we're going to answer by mail. And here we're only going to comment upon those that interest to the greatest majority of the people. And the people can send their questions without writing their names if they would like to, because then we'll have more energy to transform the groupal things. Because the souls nowadays are looking for a groupal life. There is no soul that looks for living individual life. As our soul begins to evolve, it begins to get in touch with other souls